Welcome. In this video, I'm going to be talking about using environments in Postman collections and using variables in those environments. This is going to pick up from the last video that we did on using variables in Postman requests and collections. And I'm going to use the same collection that we created in that video, which is the Get Weather and Post to Slack collection. Just briefly, it has 3 requests, this collection. The first one is getting the latitude and longitude of a particular address from the Google Maps API. The second one gets the weather for that particular pair of longitude and latitude keys. And then the third one posts the information about the weather to Slack. So you'll remember that in this set of requests, I used 2 APIs and it had 2 API keys. This one for the Google Maps API, and for weather, where I got from the Forecast.io API, another key. So a really common use of environments in Postman is to have different setups that you can switch between easily for your requests and your collections. Typically between a local machine or a development server or production. Another use for environments, and the one that I'm going to use to illustrate them today, is to store sensitive variables or sensitive information. And in this particular case, I'm going to store the 2 API keys. So if you look at my request over here inside the collection, you can see over here on the right that I have no environment. That means that all of the information that's for the variables is inside these requests and inside the collection. What I'm going to do is create an environment that holds variables for these 2 API keys. So I go over here and I manage environments. I'm going to add an environment because I only have one already. I'm going to call it the weather environment, and I'm going to add it. So now I have 2. And then I'm going to start to add variables to it. And I'm going to start with the key for the Google API. This is right here. I'm going to copy that. And I'm going to go back to Manage Environments and click on Weather. And you'll see that I can add key value pairs to my environment. So I'm going to copy, or paste rather, the value for the Google Maps API. And I'm going to call that Google API key. That's going to be the variable name. I'm going to update that, and then I can close this. And then over here, I now want, for my environment now, I want to use my weather environment. That's the one I just created. So this environment is going to now go with this collection, and I can put in here a variable now instead of the key itself. I use double curly braces for it, and I type in Google API key and save it. And now when I send that request, I get the same results I did before, but now the Google API key is actually in the weather environment. So this is a little bit more secure, because then if I decide to share this collection with someone, the collection will get shared, but not necessarily the environment. And that makes it a little bit easier, because then I can share the code that I've written or the collections I've written without worrying that I'm sharing information that I might not want to share. I'm going to do it again, one more time. Again, with this one, I have the Get Weather request, and my API key is right here. So I'm going to copy that. I'm going to go back to Manage Environments, click on Weather, and add another key. And I'm going to call that the Weather API key. I'm going to update it, so now it's updated, and close it. And now I can put it, in this case, I can put it right in here. Again, curly braces, Weather API key. Save it. And I get the same information. So now if I were to go ahead and share the collection, which I did before in the last video, I go ahead and share. I'm going to use collection link, and there's my link. I'd update it because I changed the collection. Now I can copy and share it with you, and if I wanted to, you would get it, but instead of getting my API keys in there, what you would get is variables that would indicate an API key, and then to run it, you would create your own environment with your own API keys that would fit into those variables. So that's how you use environments. There are lots more uses for them, but that's the simplest way. It's a nice way of creating global variables that you can keep a little bit more secure, or at least separate from other ways you might want to run the collection. Thanks so much. If you have comments, as always, send an email to help@postman.com, and love to have you join our Postman community Slack if you have other ideas or tips. Thanks so much.